Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage. Second day on the road of my cross-country road trip. Hush. And I'm leaving the hotel in Vegas. This morning very much was a case of, I have my shit together, I just don't know where I put it. As I just spent a lot of the morning trying to track down that one or two little thing that I had carefully put somewhere so I would remember it, and of course therefore could not find it in any way, shape, or form to save my life. So I'm checking out of the hotel, and then I'm heading over to the Atomic Testing Museum, and then I'm getting the heck out of this city. No shade for people who like it, but man, Vegas is not my scene. I am not a gambling person, I'm not a drinking person, I'm not a partying person. It's all very loud and very bright and very. Alright, anyway, I'll catch up to you when I get to the museum. Well, I give him massive credit for self-awareness. Alright, let's go check this thing out. So here we are. The entrance booth is a replica of the guard station. That is not a replica. That's a real one. Like, obviously the guts aren't in it anymore, but that's a real fat man that was built shortly after the war. God, this is a place. I literally walked up to the desk and told the guy, "Hi, I wish to be terrified by my country's nuclear history." And he went, "This is the place for you." So, wow. Ooh, the atomic needles and threads. And what's extra entertaining to me is the image on that is very similar to the Rocket 88 image used to advertise the engine in my 56 Oldsmobile. So my car is kind of in a way, a result of this as well. It's the Ford Nucleon, well, the model of it. They never built the real thing. This was a concept car that Ford came up with in 1958 that had its own self-contained nuclear reactor on the back. So the civil defense stuff in the back there. Actually all this is civil defense over here. I'm fascinated by the civil defense era and all of its like duck and cover things, like collect some things related to the civil defense. So this one talks about the atmospheric testing at the various atolls in the Pacific Ocean. The first of which was the Bikini Atoll. And yes, that's what bikinis are named for. They literally named them after the place where America was doing atomic testing, because atomic testing was, new and exciting at that point, not effing terrifying. On February 28th, 1954, the largest American fusion bomb, codenamed Bravo, was detonated on the surface at Bikini Atoll. Bravo exploded with a force of 15 megatons, creating a fireball 3.6 miles wide and a 240 feet deep crater 16,000 feet across. And yeah, they used several decommissioned American military vessels to see how they stood up to an atomic blast and to test decontamination procedures. and discovered there was no effective decontamination procedure. So those are goggles worn during one of the atomic test operations in 1951, and that's a conch shell from Inawatak Lagoon from 1951, both donated by the same person, which means somebody who was there for the atomic test also picked up that shell. So that is a backpack-mounted nuke. I'm not even exaggerating. That was a real thing. Apparently they were designed to take out airfields, but somebody had to strap a bomb to their back and walk it over to whatever they wanted to blow up, and then arm it and try and get the F out of there. God, our government sucks.
H minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The sharp wave will rise shortly. Keep on waiting until wave passes.
There was never a detonation that you weren't scared. You get to the countdown, you want to go 10, 9, 8. Every thought you think of goes through your head.
You stand looking out into the distance with goggles on, and all of a sudden the sky lights up, everything lights up. And once the light dims a little bit, you can take your goggles off and you see the shock wave coming across the desert.
So you watch this wall of dust, very thin dust, racing across the desert at you, and of course when it gets to you, that's when you hear the first noise from the explosion.
See it here, you recognize that it's a very, very terrible weapon of war.
So that was a hell of a thing. I mean, it's kind of what I expected, but yeah, wow. They presented it honestly, like, here's the things, here's the good things it did, in their opinions, here's the bad things about it. So, like, I feel like it's a good museum. It's fair and balanced in the real way of that, of like, hey, we felt we had to do this at the time, but it was also pretty bad and horrible. So, I don't know, I'm very glad I went. It was very sobering, however. And then for sheer weirdness, they had Avery soda, which are from Connecticut, like where I grew up, and they're not common anywhere, and yet somehow they're out here in Las Vegas. That was super weird. But hey, I got to have nostalgia for Connecticut in Vegas. I'm going to see if it makes any sense to go via the Hoover Dam to get out to the Grand Canyon. If it does, I'll do that. If not, I'm going to go straight to the Grand Canyon. So I'll pick you up later. All right, just left Vegas proper. I'm sure I'm still in the suburbs, but yeah, I'm on the road. Filled up. Turns out I found while I was cleaning up this morning in the car the gas filler door, which is broken off. And turns out this is supposed to take 91 octane because it's a turbo. Should have thought of that. But the two times I filled it up yesterday, I filled it up with 87. It didn't seem to mind. It seemed like it was totally fine with that. I know that they'll detune themselves, so I put 90 91 in it, but I may end up running it a little lower just to save myself some money over the course of this trip, but we'll see. Got myself breakfast. Thanks to a very nice person running the window at the Jack in the Box, I was able to get ice for my little cooler. So, and the Hoover Dam is on the way. It's literally like it adds 0 time to my trip. I think I would have been going past it, over it, whatever, even if I hadn't put it on my trip. So, I've got 25 minutes to Hoover Dam and then a couple of hours to Grand Canyon. Like with Meow Wolf last night, atomic testing took longer than I expected, so everything's unfortunately pushed out. I didn't gain the time I thought I was gonna by having done Meow Wolf last night. But that's okay. Also, this morning I figured out what was going on with my brain in terms of like not quite grasping the distances. Because like, I used to date somebody in Toronto. So I did that 9-hour each way drive like twice a month. And so the idea of driving 9 hours, I understand intellectually. But what I wasn't grasping out here is when you drive for 9 hours in the Northeast, you pass dozens, possibly 100 different towns and cities. There's always some place coming up. So you have to really F up to run out of gas or whatever. And out here, the distance is the same, but there's fuck all in between the actual places. Like, that's the part that I didn't internalize until I did the drive yesterday. Which is, you know, when you leave Baker and you're driving to Las Vegas out that back way that I went, you're going to be on the road for multiple hours and you will pass functionally nothing. You know, there were a few houses out there, there were a few little settlements is the best word I can think to call them. But, you know, like somebody owns a few acres and has a farm or whatever. But there's nothing public out there. There's no gas stations, there's no restaurants, there's no stores, there's no nothing along those lines. That's the piece I hadn't really internalized. It's like, you're going to drive for X number of hours and there will be no opportunity to acquire the things you need if you've screwed up and don't have them. And that's not something I'm used to. Even when you drive like in upstate New York, where things are pretty far apart, it's nowhere near on this scale. So yeah, that's a thing that now that I've done it, I now understand it better, and now can kind of plan for that, I guess is the right word. You know, like at Las Vegas, I filled the tank to the brim because the idea of, like, when I went up in the pass, I filled it like 3/4 of the way because gas is expensive. I'll put $50 in it. You know, when I get to other place, I'll put more in. You don't do that out here. You fill your tank. So now that I know that, now I can plan better. Now I'll know that, okay, if you stop to fill up or if you need to fill up, top off the tank, because who knows when the next one's going to be. And so hopefully I won't run into that same panicky issue that I ran into yesterday. But I'm going to drive to Hoover Dam, and then I will catch up with you then. Holy shit. This looks like something out of a video game. stopping briefly in this overlook because I wanted to get an out of the car view. I'm not going down there because it is mobbed. I mean, it's Sunday of the holiday weekend, I shouldn't be surprised. But all I can say is, damn. Check it out. There's snow. I'm up in, I guess I'm in some pass. I don't know which one. They're not well labeled. But I'm about an hour and a half outside of Grand Canyon. And yeah, there's snow on the side of the road. So that's cool. I was not expecting to run into snow in Arizona. And I'm going to the Grand Canyon today. So, also I just want to say, I really want to whip donuts in the snow in this little parking lot, but breaking that iffy CV joint at the top of a pass in Arizona seems like a bad idea. So I'm going to resist the urge. And I'm in the park. It's going to be a very expensive, very short visit because it was $35 to get in, but I get to see the Grand Canyon. I'll pay $35 to see the giant hole in the ground because it's probably going to be the only time I'm ever going to do it. So cool. Here we go. Coming up on it now. I'm so excited. Holy shit. So this is kind of amazing. Like, I'm genuinely just speechless. My brain is having trouble with this, just comprehending the scale. It doesn't look fake, that's not the right word for it, but I can't fully grasp the scale because there's nothing down there that I can use as a reference point to be like, oh, that's a tree, that's a, building, whatever. There's a couple things that might be trails, but even then it's hard to sort of make them out. So I'm having trouble just wrapping my brain around the scale of it. Yeah, wow. This is so cool. And I'm glad I went. I'm glad I didn't decide not to go or balked at the entrance fee or whatever. This is amazing. So that was really cool. Like I said, so that was really cool. I'm really glad I went. Yeah. That affected me more than I anticipated it would. I kind of expected to be like, hey, neat, big hole. Pictures, go. But the scale of it is something else. If you've never seen it, you can't quite grasp it. So I just suddenly grasped it. Now I'm heading out. I'm trying to get to Meteor Crater because it's the other big hole in Arizona. But it looks like I'm going to cut this really fine in terms of sunset. So if there's bad traffic or the weather slows me down or whatever, I may miss that. And if it looks like it's going to be dark by the time I get, like if I get near there and it's dark, I'm just going to continue on. It's not far off the highway if I remember correctly. Yeah. I do need gas. I've finally found the button that changes the little display. It was showing me like miles driven per day. I pushed some buttons thinking they were for the rear wiper. They turned out to be for the little display. I now can't get back to that again, but I managed to find the miles to empty. And that beep was just the car telling me it's under 40 degrees because it's starting to flurry again. But right now I have 135 miles. Meteor Crater's 94 miles away. So I need to stop for gas because we're not playing stupid and having 40 miles there because I don't know if there's a gas station within 40 miles of it. So once I get, probably not just back into the town here, probably more towards civilization because the gas will almost certainly be cheaper than right here outside the park. I need to fill up on my way there. And food, I just realized I need food soon, so I'll have to get that too. So it's currently sleeting and hailing. Little tiny pellet hails. So I don't know if they're going to be visible to you at all, but I can see them bouncing around and rolling around in the highway. So that's interesting. I'm now driving through a hailstorm in Arizona. Sorry, the Arizona thing is interesting. I know you clearly get this weather in Arizona, but I find it entertaining because it's so outside my image of what Arizona is like. So my GPS just informed me I'm about to turn onto Route 66. So cool, I got to get that in here too. I doubt I'm going to see anything really amazing and cool because I'm kind of in Flagstaff. So I doubt any of the really old stuff survived, but it's just neat. I get to drive on Route 66. I don't know if it's going to be visible, but the Western Hills Motel and Restaurant there on the left has got a great sign. It's got to be from the old days. So cool. So, I'm very glad I'm not agoraphobic because Jesus, it just goes on and on. Wow, this country's amazing. Like, I'm so glad I'm doing this drive. Well, poo. I was not expecting that. I was expecting to have at least some access, but no. Closed at 5, which I think I knew. It's 6:30 now, but I thought I'd have some ability to take a look. This is greatly disappointing. Alright, I just ended up pulling off on the side of the road to look at stuff because I was being impatient. So it is 5 hours to Albuquerque. Oh, sorry, it's 5 hours to Santa Fe. I said Albuquerque because you have to go through there, which is where the next Meow Wolf is, which is the next sort of thing on my list. I don't have 5 hours of driving in me, and I have no desire to have 5 hours of driving. That would get me in at midnight to Santa Fe. I do not need that because the Meow Wolf doesn't open until like 10 in the morning. So all I would do is exhaust myself to then sleep in enough to barely get there. But it doesn't help me in any way. However, it is 7 o'clock currently, which wouldn't be a bad time to stop, but there's fuck all here. Like I said, I think at the exit there was a gas station or something, but this isn't like the other big hole I was just, wow, Grand Canyon. I need to eat. So there's not a whole bunch, it doesn't have the same infrastructure as that. So what I did was I looked, and about an hour further east, there's a little town. Google Maps is being stupid about showing me the name of it, but there's like 3 or 4 motels right there. So I can drive another hour, and there'll be places to stay, and there's almost certainly going to be restaurants where that's going to get dinner. That'll be 8-ish o'clock. That's not a bad time to stop. Depending on how I feel then, which is almost certainly going to be, I want to stop. But if I don't feel that way, another hour further out, there's another little town with another little bunch of hotels. So I can either go for an hour or I can go for 2 hours, whichever feels more like what I want to do. Yeah, is this a gas station? Sorry, I'm not stopping, but I'm curious. Okay, so there is a little gas station here that is closed. Wow, gated, closed. Okay, so I couldn't do any fuck all here anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go an hour down, and at the very least I'm gonna get food. Though that's gonna be a little late because it is Sunday. But anyway, yeah. I will pick up the next point that I'm at. So, I'm driving down Route 66. I just got off in Winslow, Arizona. Yes, that one from the song.